Hello. Okay, I'm dealing with some weird connection issues today. There's it's been three times already where it looks like the stream was about to drop. So, there might be if there is some point where if there is some point where just the entire stream goes down, I'll try to bring it back as quickly as possible. And it just happened again. So, yeah, Yeah, stream connection's being pretty bad today. If it does keep messing up, I might have to try restarting I might have to restart OBS or restart my computer and then test things out to see what's going on because it's really messing up. I mean, I'm hoping it holds together because there was a very important ranking that I wanted to do today. But anyway, welcome in. If if the stream is still holding together and you can see it, yeah, if that is the case, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Jeez, I am. Yeah, it's affecting the YouTube. Whatever's going on is affecting the YouTube feed as well. So just we'll keep an eye on it. All right, so just in case things do mess up and I have to cut the stream, let's go ahead and get this ranking done because this is a very important thing. I have seen no one else do it's a ranking after Trails to Azure. I realized that this ranking needs to happen, and I've seen no one else do it. It's a shame because this is probably the most important ranking anyone could ever do, and I'm just shocked that no one else has even thought to do this. So, yeah, just in case the stream does cut and this part of the stream gets cut off, and section up the rest. Let's rank God trees. I made a small list. I realized after Trails du Jour with how many games I've played that have God trees in them. Someone should do a ranking on that. With all these many God trees, which is truly the best of the God tree? Which is the most godliest tree that is ever in in games I played or anime or manga I've watched? Which is the godliest tree? So down here, because you can't, because there's no names or things, and it's probably a little difficult to tell what each thing is down here. We have Yggdrasil, like the original Yggdrasil, the original Yggdrasil from Norse myth. Then there's the Azure tree from Trails to Azure. Then there's the Erd tree from this is going left to right, by the way. I don't think y'all could see my mouse cursor, but then we have the Erd tree from Elden Ring. Then Exdeath from Final Fantasy V. I haven't fully played through Final Fantasy V yet, but I do already know the twist that the main villain Exdeath is basically an evil tree. Then we have the Aoife tree from Final Fantasy IX. Another, which means yeah, already two evil god trees in Final Fantasies. Then we have there's the evil god tree from Devil May Cry 5, which I haven't played yet, so we won't get to that one just yet. Same with Xdeath. The ones we won't get to these two. We'll wait to save those two until I play Final Fantasy 5 and we'll wait to rank Final Fantasy the trees from Final Fantasy 5 and Devil May Cry 5 until I get to those. Then there's both the Unitree and the Solitree. Well, actually, let me move these around. There's the Unitree and the Solitree from the Unitree and the Solitree from Mario and Luigi Brothership. So I'm going to count them as two separate ones because this one isn't exactly the same as the Unitree. It's basically like an evil tree that was made to replace the Unitree. Then there's then there's the Great Deku Tree. I'm just going to count all the Great Deku Trees as one because the Great Deku Tree kind of just does one thing. And then there's also Yggdrasil from Dragon Quest XI. There's Yggdrasil from Dragon Quest XI. And then this last one on here, this is the only one not from a video game I played so far. It's Yggdraon from the manga Versus, that's the manga I've mentioned. That's the isekai manga I mentioned, where like multiple different worlds try to summon saviors to the world, but in the process they end up just merging all these worlds. One of those worlds, and each of the groups of humans have to work together to stop their greatest enemy. Well, one of those greatest enemies is a giant god tree. Now, so we won't get we won't get to all of these because some of these I have to save until I play through those games. Oh, also, Sleepless saw just side note, saw what you said about Pokemon. Glad that you're having fun with it. Good time for monster collecting fan. Yeah, good time for fans of monster collecting games right now between Digimon Storytime Stranger and Pokemon Legends ZA. But anyway, we're gonna actually let me actually so For starters, I'm gonna go rank the original the original Yggdrasil. Like, and basically what I'm ranking these on is how good a god tree are they? How how good a god tree are they? Like, is this a god tree that really inspires that really inspires respect or fear or reverence? Is this a god tree that I would want? Is this a god tree that I would be willing to serve or would be willing to serve or help? God trees often need a lot of help or fear if they're evil. Or is this a god tree that I would just mock? And then actually, so let me change this up a little. Let me change this up a little bit. We're gonna start with. I know this is like odd to say. I know this is odd to say because I'm just starting out this ranking, but hold on, hold on, bear with me here. Very first one of these, not a god tree, and that's actually where Slips is surprised you didn't include Xerneas since they're supposed to be the Pokemon representation of Yggdrasil. I forgot about Xerneas. This is something we're gonna revisit as I go. This is something we might revisit, as I'm sure I'm gonna find more god trees. The reason why I'm doing this whole bit is because I realized after while playing Tetros to Azure, I just had the joke about how many god trees there are, and then I thought about it. I realized, dang, there really are. I've played a lot of games with god trees in them, and there's even more out there. Yeah, for first of these, so what qualifies as a god tree, and this is actually why there's the not a god tree thing here. What qualifies as a god tree versus not a god tree is it a sentient or is it a sentient organism? So, for example, like every single one of these god trees is taking of these other god trees is taking some influence from the original Yggdrasil from Norse mythology. However, that's actually not a god tree. Every one of these other trees is like a sentient being that has it's a sentient being with its own consciousness that it uses to influence things or to do that or to influence people or to do stuff. Yggdrasil from the original Norse myth is not. It's actually, I mean, Yggdrasil is a world tree, as in like from what I know, from what I remember from reading from what I remember from Norse myths, Yggdrasil doesn't have a mind of its own. It's a giant. It's a big tree that every other world like sits on. So like it connects every single it connects every single it connects every single every single one of the nine realms, but it's not a sentient being. It's a giant tree that just it's basically a universe spanning tree that all these other like worlds sit on. So not actually a god tree. Now moving on to these ones. Look, I can't count all of these, but there are some of these I can rank. Okay, so for first, so actually let me change this up a little bit. So we got yeah, there are probably more. There are definitely going to be more god trees I encounter in all these different in games I play, and then when we get to them, I'll make sure to include them on here. So yeah, just going off of this, I haven't. Now I'm not going to mention. I'm not. I have them here just saved for later for when I do get to Final Fantasy V and Dragon and Devil May Cry 5, but we're not going to count these two just yet. Or we're not going to use. We're not going to rank these two just yet. First off, let me start with the Yggdrasil from Dragon Quest 11, which is kind of where the whole joke of the god tree started. And I'm going to rank this one. Hmm, see, I'm also probably should come up with different terms for this. Hold on. Going to come up with some. I don't. This doesn't work with my usual ranking. My real ranking format. So let me come up with some good. Hmm, Let me come up with some tree puns to name all these. Okay, so for this one, let me use here for instead of S tier, we'll have treely magnificent. The true like those if they are in treely magnificent, they are the to which all other god trees aspire to be. Mm. Then there's here and down at the bottom we'll have Actually, but here, I'll come up with I'll come up with this as we go through this. But here, let me go. Okay, for A tier, let me have, or let me, instead of A tier, let me have it as, hmm, well, let me see. Okay, for one of these tiers, I should name it Best Leafed Alone. But here, we'll go that for C tier. Best Leafed Alone. D, D tier, the lowest tier is Firewood. Bradshaw Carey says Oakley Dokley. You know that's a good one. Yeah, that's really good, Bradshaw Carey. We'll use that. Oakley Dokley. That'll be our average tier. Here, instead of best left leafed alone, we'll just say our our merely a sapling. And then for this tier, we'll go with hmm, I'll think so. Well, I'm thinking up a pun for this. Let me just say it to you. So firewood is that's just it's this is fire. If it's in the firewood tier, it's not a god tree that commands respect. It's the only that god tree. Like there's nothing to fear or respect about this god tree. All it's got There's nothing to fear or respect about this god tree. It doesn't even do anything. It just stands in a forest looking trying to look sagely, but it can't even manage that. Merely a sapling. It's able to do some stuff. It's able to have some influence, but I mean, it's really for a tree that is said to command all for a tree that is said to influence and command all of reality. It really could be doing a lot more. Like Oakley Dokley, those are for ones that like they're doing about an average job as a god, doing an average job as a god tree. They're don't really command much respect. Brad Chicaner says it's just pine. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay. Instead of Oakley Dokley, I'll just use it's just pine. It's just pine. Yeah. Yeah. That's good for the average tier. Yeah. They they're do, they're doing an adequate job. They're doing just like an adequate job. No, the all these from firewood to merely sapling to it's just pine. These tiers are like you're well for these two bottom tiers, merely a sapling and firewood. The trees more. We're gonna end up like making fun of the tree more than actually. We're gonna end up making fun of the tree more than actually respecting it. It's just pine is like it's doing about an average. It's doing about an average job for this tier right above it, which I will just call a treer. Yeah, a tree. This will be just a treer for now. This is these god trees. They command respect. They command respect. They command respect. Their agents are strong. When you meet someone like a knight or a god, or when you meet a knight or an angel or a demon serving this god tree, you know which god tree it's serving. They might, though they might have some problems. Might be some might be losing their leaves a little bit, but we're all doing a pretty good job. Treely Magnificent is like these. Now, these if they're in Treely Magnificent, then these are the god trees that command respect. You will you Everything is shaped by this god. Everything is shaped by this god tree. You are not going to confuse this god tree with just a mere with just a mere just a mere blessed a slightly taller and kind of holy looking conifer tree. So going down here, we're gonna start with Yggdrasil from Dragon Quest XI. Let's start with Yggdrasil from Dragon Quest XI, and for that one, I think it's better. I think I would say it's just ah, and I think I would say hmm, I'm gonna say merely a sapling. I'm gonna put it in detail. It looks holy. It looks holy, and everyone talks about how cool the tree is. But really, it's got a pretty bad security system. It's the heart of its heart is it contains its heart and all of its power in a sword, which on the one hand that means that that's a really cool sword. On the other hand, a tree containing all of its power in a sword sounds kind of antithetical to a tree, as swords and trees, they're not really guaranteed to get along. Swords now it's better than if it's better than if said god tree were to try to contain its power in like a fire. That's a recipe for disaster. But and again, it does end up with a really cool sword. It does end up making the sword that it's a heart of a really cool sword. But like it's very easy. It's a lot easier to steal a sword than or take out a sword than it would be to say take out an ethereal tree soul. And of course, that's what happens in a drag like after the in the first third of Dragon Quest XI. Not even halfway through the game. It's just like the first third. Um, evil Lord of Darkness sneaks in, tricks the heroes into letting him get access to the god tree's heart sword, and then he corrupts it into an evil god tree. So that's another thing that knocks it down. Easily corruptible. Some evil magician. All he had to do was just get a hold of the sword that's the heart of the god tree, and then it just turned the whole thing evil and like broke down the entire planet. And if that's the case, if all it takes is just some dark magician being evil to corrupt your entire god tree, you need to be doing better at your job as a god tree. You're really not doing as good a job as a god tree as you could be. I mean, because it's a god tree. A lot of people rely on you. Sometimes even an entire planet relies on you. So yeah, it looks holy. It looks it looks holy. It's got that wonderful Dragon Quest 11 that wonderful Dragon Quest music behind it, but just kind of disappointing overall. Kind of disappointing overall. Now going to the next one, and we'll do this one because it's in a game I just beat. Or decided to make me do this whole list. Okay, we're gonna have the Azure tree from Trails to Azure, and I'm gonna put that in A trier. That's an A trier. That is an A trier god tree. For one thing, like it kind of comes out of nowhere. We only really see for such a powerful god tree, we really only see it for like the ending section of one game in Trails. And I'm not even sure, and I've only played two Trails games so far, so I don't know how much it's going to be referenced in other Trails games. But in this tree's credit, and also in order to make this tree spawn, in order to make this god tree form, you have to convince a small child. You have to convince a small child in order to become a Xenosaga character, and that you've got and that it's total and that she should use her powers of reality manipulation. That she should use her powers of reality manipulation in order to affect reality in your favor. But that does say something about the god tree's power. Is that we are told in shows to sure that it can affect reality, that it can affect reality. Now you have to make sure that whoever's in charge of the tree wants to do that for you, but still. Also, while on the outside, it really on the outside of the Azure tree, it doesn't look that impressive. Just like I mean, it's blue and I like blue, but it really is like a kind of, it looks more like a mass of twisting vines rather than a god tree, rather than a big holy tree. On the inside, however, it's like an entire dimension in there filled with like, and instead of like it goes for something unique as far as god trees go, where instead of being like being like angels or such, it's like beings beyond, like they go like beings beyond all comprehension. Statues that can move for some reason. Uh uh Creatures from outside reality who can just casually disappear, your teammates. They it goes for a unique, like, this is not, it gives the inside of the Azure tree is actually a lot better than a lot of the points for the Azure tree are coming from the inside of it rather than outside of it, because the outside of it is kind of like not that impressive. The outside of the Azure tree doesn't really look that impressive, but the inside of it makes you look like you're stepping an entire dimension, like you are stepping into a realm outside of all mortal comprehension, and that's really good. It just misses out on Truly Magnificent because again, it really only shows up in like in the last 6 hours of Trails to Azure, which that might sound like a lot, but this is Trails game time, and that's it's Trails game time, and in Trails game time, 6 hours. In Trails game time, 6 hours is really just like 1% of the game. Slim says credits where due. You can see tree a Azure tree from other countries. This might change our ranking as I play more Trails games and I see like how characters react to. If we get to see, as I play more Trails games, if we get to see like other characters react to this and go, "Where the heck did that tree come from?" Then this might move up. But because I've only played Trails from Zero and Trails to Azure right now, and for now we've really only seen it in like the last few hours. Or excuse me, not we've. Some of y'all have played way more Trails games than me. But for me, I've only seen it in like a couple hours, and I've only seen a couple hours of one game so far. So we'll just put it here. But still, overall, good showing for a god tree. Good showing for a god tree. Now, next, I haven't done the Erd tree, but I might go ahead and include that just because I've seen enough. I've seen a couple of Elden Ring lore videos, so I know what the Erd tree is about. Meanwhile, for like X Death and Devil May Cry 5, those trees. Sleep says, no, no, Tria like Kia. Oh, that's good. That's good, Sleepless. That's what we're gonna. Okay, that's its new official name. Not the Azure tree, but Tria. But okay, going down here. Okay, the Great Deku Tree, and again, this is all. This is the great. Okay, the Great Deku Tree is like there's multiple versions of it, and I've played a couple. I played a couple different Zelda games with the Great Deku Tree in them. I played Breath of Wild. I've played Ocarina of Time a long time ago, but I did play it, and in a lot from the Zelda games I've played, the Great Deku Tree is kind of very similar. They're very similar, and so because of that, I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna put it in. It's just pine. Now, you might wonder why are you putting the Great Deku Tree in here? It's not like it doesn't have godlike power. It's just a guardian spirit. Well, minor gods are still gods. And if a tree has enough power, and if a tree has enough power to influence a section of a world, well, that it's still influencing a section of a world. It's still influencing a section of a world. I'm not going to say that a minor god or goddess is inherently worse than a major god or goddess just because their portfolio is smaller. That minor god or goddess, or in this case, god tree, might be doing its smaller portfolio of work a lot better than the much bigger god tree that it sits under the shade of. In that case, that's where Deku Tree falls. It's it's really just a guardian spirit that's supposed to guard a forest, and it does that pretty adequately. Like it often gets corrupted or dies. It often gets corrupted or dies, but whenever that happens, the Deku Tree is at least smart. But whenever that happens, the Deku Tree is at least smart enough to go like, ah, dang it, someone got the God Tree I got the evil God Tree poison in me. Let me go call up Link to have him come and fix this. Or or it's a or if something like in Breath of the Wild in that game where the God Tree is like where the Deku Tree is like, okay, I can't really stop Ganon from corrupt Ganon, but what I can do is make this entire forest impossible, like these lost woods, really difficult to maneuver through, so that Ganon's minions can't find me, and I can keep the Master Sword safe. And they did, and the Deku Tree did for like 100 years. It really Deku Tree. This is kind of what I mean by like sometime. This is kind of what I was just saying about like God Tree with a smaller job with a not as important job can do their job better than a god tree with a much more important job. This is exactly the case. Yggdrasil Yggdrasil has this holy sword in it that if you take this holy sword in it, if you take it out, can that once taken out causes all of the world to corrupt, turn evil, and it did not do enough to protect the. And for its heart, it really didn't do enough to protect that heart. Deku Tree, Deku Tree did, and I mean both have like time traveling heroes that these two trees are supposed to assist. But Great Deku Tree helped out Link a lot more. It helped out Link a lot more than Yggdrasil helped out the Luminary. So next, let me rank. Okay, I'm gonna go the Ifa tree from Final Fantasy IX, and I'm gonna put the Ifa tree also in A tier. I think I'll put that slightly under. I'll put that one slightly under Latria. And that's because on the one hand, Tria, it shows up like in the second half of the game. We don't see it from the start, like from the start of the very beginning. However, that makes sense because like the characters in Final Fantasy IX, they start their game on like a completely different continent. And then when they see this thing, the game is immediately like Sleeper says, "Would you say it heartily mattered?" Indeed, I would. But yeah, for the Aoife tree, like as soon as the characters notice it and go, "What the heck is that?" It suddenly starts dominating the focus of the game. And then when you visit it, it's kind of like Tria. It's an interesting take on the God tree, where it's not just a big tree, but it's a big undead tree. Like you fight like zombies, and like it's not just it's a tree. It's a tree that's sucking the life out of everything and is making zombies. Turning zombies, you even fight like a dragon zombie inside of it, and it's key to and from what I remember of Final Fantasy IX, it is important to Kuja's plan. I will so for right now, I'd say, and also it does like it is an intimidating looking tree. It's an intimidating looking tree. It is. I can't pull up the bigger picture of it, but it looks like okay for the art. I don't think it shows in like the little icon I'm using here, but it looks like a rotting tree. Yeah. I don't know if it'll really show in here, but it looks like a rotting tree, and you can even see like in the official art for it that is going above the clouds, which is for. I mean, that's what all these trees are going. That's what all these trees are doing. They're all like bigger than reaching above the clouds. But for this one, it's particularly just noticeable because it looks wrong. It looks unholy. As soon as you see this thing, it looks like an unholy blight on the very land around it. See, I'm gonna put that in A. That one's an A tier, and then next, okay, so I don't think this is the only one from a manga or from a manga I've read. This is the only one not from a video game so far, but I actually won't be counting Igdrion just now. It's from the manga verses, like I said. However, it hasn't been in the manga yet. We've seen a couple. Yeah, it hasn't been in the manga yet. Oh, hold on. We haven't seen it in the manga yet, so we really don't know anything about. We don't know anything about like what it can do or what it's like. We know it's an evil tree. We know it's an evil tree that is like the arch nemesis for an entire group of people, but we don't really know what it can do, so I just won't count that one yet. And then, like I said, X Death and from Final Fantasy V and the evil tree from Devil May Cry 5 won't count those yet because I haven't played those games yet. For I will probably also save the Erd tree. That's kind of like in amongst the modern video games that the reason why this one's already here is because I mean when I say God tree, a lot of people's first thought, like a lot of people been playing from recent media, a lot of people's first thought is going to be the Erd tree from it's going to be the Erd tree from Elden Ring. And I have seen some lore videos about Elden Ring, about what goes on in Elden Ring. But I think just like kind of like how I'm not ranking Xdeath yet because even though I know that he's an evil tree, I haven't played Final Fantasy V yet. I for that reason I won't rank the Erd tree just yet because we know because I know that it's an evil god tree. However, I should wait until after I eventually play Elden Ring, which I would like to do at some time. Anyway, okay, next we got the unit. Okay, so for right now, we got the Unitree and the Solitree from Mario and Luigi Brothership. And again, I'm counting them as separate ones. So for the Unitree, I'm gonna put that at it's just pine. The main thing the Unitree does is it just keeps the different islands surrounding it together, and also serve as a good source of tree puns and electricity puns, which is always appropriate. And I do appreciate any god tree that leans into the tree that serves as a source for tree puns. But um, but yeah, it really doesn't. But besides that, we really only see it at the beginning and the very end of Mario and Luigi Brothership. And for there, we just know that it kind of just keeps the island together. And I mean, that was really important because we see in Brothership what happens when the islands aren't grouped together and what problems that can cause. But is it- but I think but I think it just does its job and it does like the Deku Tree, it does its job and it just does its job kind of well. And that's at least impressive and that's at least good enough. Now for the evil variant, the Solitary, that one I am actually gonna put either an A tree or Treely Magnificent. Because this is not just an evil god tree. Actually, okay, you know what? I'm gonna put it at the bottom of A tree. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of A tree. This one has like one big plus and one big minus to it, and both of them are related to what happens in Mario and League Brothership. On the plus side, you actually fight the god tree. You fight the solid tree itself. Like at during the finale of Brothership, um, the main villain of Brothership takes control, like possesses the solid tree, and you actually fight the solid tree. Like it is throwing things at you. You have to dodge its tree limbs that are swinging at you. You actually like for most of the god trees you fight when you fight them, you fight like an avatar of them. This one you fight the tree. Um Now the downside to this one though, and that's why I don't think it gets into truly magnificent, is you got to visit it like two or three times. You visit the area where it is, and then the tree spawn, and then like the solid tree spawns. Or excuse me, you visit the area where the solid tree is three times. First, you visit the area, and then I think after you go through that area, then I think after you visit that area, after you get through the first time, then the solitary, or it's either like you get kicked out or the solitary spawns and then get kicked out. Then you return, and then you have to leave again, and then you come back and you do it again. So actually, I think it's just by the third. I think it's just by the third time that I think it's just the third time that you have to actually deal with the solitary itself. But basically, even though it is like you only deal with the solitary once, by the time you've gotten By the time you've gotten to the solitary, you've already explored the area that it's at two times before, and then gone all the way across the world map two twice in order to like in order to like get in order to like get everyone or like get prepared to scale the tree again to scale this area again, and then you go back in there. So it kind of wears a the not exactly the solitary itself, but the area where the solitary is at kind of wears out its welcome by the time you actually get to fight the solitary. Now it's still really cool that you get to fight the solitary itself, and you even like as part of the final boss fight you actually like fly up the trunk of the solitary. However, However, I do think just like it does kind of it has kind of again not exactly the solitary itself, but like the area where it's at kind of where has worn out its welcome by the time you've reached there. Yeah, that's the ranking we'll do right now. So original Yggdrasil from Norse mythology, that's not exactly a god tree. It is a world tree, which are two different which in the study of aesthetical arborism are two different aesthetic excuse me, which in the realm of religious arborism or no, triological studies. That's what this is called. Triological studies. In the realm of triological studies, a world tree and a god tree are two very different things. It's important to know the difference. One could want to kill you or want to help you, and the other or want to help you, and the other is just a really big tree. Like a really now it's still a really big tree, but there's a difference between a really big tree and a really big tree that you can have a conversation with. Actually, if I get to play Dark Souls 3, might have to include the Curse Rotted Greatwood from yeah, if I get to hmm, if I get to play Dark Souls 3, I might throw in Curse Rotted Greatwood and see where it ranks on here. But yeah, here's how it's ranking. So Yggdrasil from Norse mythology, not a god tree, it's a world tree. Yggdrasil from Dragon Quest XI, merely a sapling. The Unitree from the Unitree and Deku Tree. Excuse me, Unitree from Mario and Luigi Brothership and the Deku Tree from Legend of Zelda. Both it's just pine. The Solitree and from Mario and Luigi Brothership, the Aoife Tree from Final Fantasy IX, and Tria from Trails to Azure. Those are both in A tier, and then we don't have anything. We don't have anything in Treely Magnificent or anything in Firewood. We haven't seen any absolute. We haven't seen any absolute. We haven't seen like any. Uh, w- we haven't seen like the absolute tip of the branch, nor the absolute bottom of the roots of what could be a god of what a god tree could be. I've had plenty of examples in the different games I played, but yeah, none that truly stands out to me as being none that truly stand out to me as being truly magnificent or just firewood. With that done, let's go. And now with that done, let me play some. Now then, let me get back to playing some Resident Evil. I spent I spent nearly an hour on that. I want you to know. I spent nearly an hour on that. That alone tells me that I definitely do need to do that at Godzilla. That I will that Godzilla rankings movie ranking stream. That Godzilla movie ranking the Godzilla movie ranking streams when I do them. Uh, I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with them. I just spent nearly an hour because I just spent nearly an hour talking about trees. Sim says Treely terrible. Well, that would just be like Treely magnificent, but we just replaced. No, it would have to be Treely treeable. And I mean, I already used Treely. I already used the Treely pun like once, so I already used it once. Don't want to wear out. Don't want to wear it out. Okay. Anyway, back to Resident Evil. As Resident Evil 2, I'm in the last area. Hmm, wait, I'm in the last area of Resident Evil 2. Hold on, sorry. Okay. Actually, now that I've okay, because the stream is really messing up. Because the stream is just it is constantly messing up and it is not working out well. I might restart OBS. I know I just spent an hour talking about trees. However, I might restart OBS and try to restart the stream because I am honestly surprised it held together throughout that entire time. I did not yeah, I did not yeah, it's dropped a but it keeps dropping frames a lot. So, yeah, okay. I'm gonna probably restart OBS. I don't want it to just cut out in the middle of the stream. Don't want it to cut out in the middle of the stream. So, Bradshaw Carey says OBS is no bark, no bite, is only bark, no bite. Sorry. Okay, just do that. But yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna cut the stream and then I'm gonna restart OBS. Might even restart I might also restart my computer and I'm gonna back. Gonna come back and then I'll try to give it. However much time I miss, I'll try to give it more, or however much I'll try to make. However much time I miss, I'll add that on to the stream once once I get back. But yeah, sorry to do this after I just spent an entire hour talking about trees, but I really want the. I'm really worried the stream's just gonna fall apart. Well, it's already falling apart because of the lack of quality. So yeah, hold on. So yeah, I'm gonna cut OBS. Might restart my computer, and then I'll get back as soon as possible.